talk about verbal. And verbal, remember, is a fake verb. And there are three categories of verbal. You have the participle, the gerund, and the infinitive. And we started with the participle, and participle being an adjective or functioning as an adjective is mainly a modifying verbal or describing verbal. Let's proceed to the verbals that function as a noun, the gerund and the infinitive. Now, the difference between the two is that the form of the gerund is usually in ing, form of the verb, while for the infinitive, the form is actually the to plus the base form of the verb. So for example, the gerund, let's say singing. So singing could be a gerund. For infinitive, it's to plus the base form, so meaning it's to sing. Now, just to compare between the participle, gerund, and infinitive, let's have an example for the three verbals. So let's start with the participle. So as you notice here, the singing here is a participle because singing is modifying or describing the teacher. Who is singing? The teacher. While for the gerund, let's have an example. In this case, singing here becomes a gerund. Singing here is a noun because in the sentence, singing is functioning as the subject. And remember, when it is subject, it could only be a noun or a pronoun. So in this case, singing here is a noun. It's a name of that talent. So therefore, in this case, the singing is functioning as a gerund. Now, let's proceed to an example of infinitive. So let's just make use of to sing as a subject. So here, notice that they have the same thought. Singing is a talent I can share, or to sing is a talent I can share. And here, this verbal, this infinitive, is considered as an infinitive because of its form, and at the same time, its function is it functions as a noun. So it's the difference between the three when we make use of the sing as a participle, a gerund, and infinitive. Now, there are different functions of a noun. So you have the subject, object of the preposition, predicate noun, appositive, direct object, and indirect object. Remember, our noun verbal, we have the gerund and the infinitive. Or if it's a phrase, you have the gerund phrase and the infinitive phrase. Just point out again that this gerund and infinitive, they are considered as noun verbals. Let's proceed to the different functions of a noun. So let's start off with the subject. Remember that the subject is the topic in the sentence, the one that is talked about in the sentence. Let's begin through the example in the concept notes. For the gerund, our example is training is essential. Now, this is a subject because again, it is the topic in the sentence, and it becomes gerund because it ends with the ing and it's the name of the act. The infinitive example is to exercise is healthy. So in this case, it becomes a subject because again, it is a topic in the sentence and the topic is to exercise. And it's infinitive because its form is to plus the base form exercise. So therefore, this is an infinitive that functions as the subject. Now let's proceed to the object of the preposition. The object of the preposition class is part of the prepositional phrase. If you remember in your grade 7 that a prepositional phrase is composed of the preposition plus the object of the preposition. And usually the object of the preposition can be noun or the pronoun. Let's have an example. By the door. So here, it's a prepositional phrase because it composed of the preposition, which is by, and our object of the preposition, which is a noun, the door. So the by the door is an example of the prepositional phrase. In the example for the gerund, do I get credit for trying? So let's extract the prepositional phrase. So the for trying there is an example of a gerund. So the is a prepositional phrase. It's a prepositional phrase, and the trying there is our gerund. Now, it becomes the object of the preposition because there is a preposition for before trying. So, for trying becomes a prepositional phrase, and you have there a preposition followed by the object of the preposition trying. And trying here is functioning as a noun. So do we have an infinitive that functions as an object of the preposition? Definitely there is none. Okay, so let's proceed to that's the subject and the object of the preposition. Now let's proceed to the third function of a noun, and that is the predicate noun. Now the predicate noun is, if you remember in your grade 7 class, that usually it is following this sentence pattern. You have the subject, a linking verb, and a predicate noun. Our example is, that flower is a rose. So this is our subject, and you have the linking verb. Remember the linking verb, we have the is, are, has, have, was, were, had. So here our linking verb is, you have is. And our predicate noun, usually class, a predicate noun is giving more information to the subject. So the flower is, so it's giving more information, so that flower is, so it's a rose. So here, our predicate noun is rose. The predicate noun is giving more information to our subject, flower. Okay, so just remember the pattern, SLV, PN, subject, linking verb, and predicate noun. So let's proceed to the gerund, and we have the infinitive. So how is this different? Again, because of the form, and let's have an example. So in your LAS, the example there is, his great talent was composing. So in this case, if we follow the pattern SLVPN, our subject is his great talent. That is our subject. So our linking verb is was. And remember, what was the talent? So again, the predicate nominative is giving more information to our subject. So what was the talent? It's composing. So here, composing becomes a predicate nominative. Okay, the company's decision was to merge. So in this case, if we try to follow the SLVPN, you have, what is our subject? Our subject is the company's decision. That is our subject. And we have the linking verb was. And remember that a predicate nominative is giving more information to the subject. So what was the decision? It's to merge. So here, the infinitive to merge is functioning as a predicate noun. Let's proceed to the appositive. Appositive is giving more information to a subject or to the object. And usually appositives are enclosed with a comma. So I'll give you an example in a standard format. For example, you have here, so where is the appositive here? Again, the appositive is giving more information to our subject and object. So let's identify where is our subject. So our subject here is jobs. Now, this subject has this appositive, which is the encoder and the artist. Now, this becomes an appositive because in two ways. First, it gives more information to our subject, and it is in between commas. Now, let's have the gerund. So in the example you have there, two skills, reading and writing, are basic skills. So here, the appositive, reading and writing, they are considered appositives, and they are gerund because again, it looks like it is a fake verb and it's a name of the skills. So the reading and writing here is an appositive because it is giving more information to our subject, which is, you have the skills. Now, for the infinitive, the example there is we have their plan to leave was changed. So to leave there is an infinitive because of its form again, and it becomes an appositive because it is giving more information to plan, which is our subject. And remember, it is enclosed with this comma here. For the direct object is, in your grade 7, you still have that sentence pattern wherein there is a subject, transitive verb, and a direct object. So if we have this in a standard sentence, let's have this. Shelly bakes a cake. This is a sentence with a direct object. Where is our subject? Our subject is Shelly, and our transitive verb is bakes. Now, why bakes is a transitive verb? Because there is a receiver of the action, which is a direct object, and usually the direct object is answering the question who or what. So if we ask, Shelly bakes what? So Shelly bakes the cake. So cake here is the direct object. Same thing with the gerund. So in the example, we should consider flying. Now, our subject here in the sentence is you have the we, and our transitive verb is should consider. It's a whole verb phrase. Should consider is our transitive verb, and our direct object is flying. Why flying is a direct object? And it's a gerund, of course, because again, it's of its form, the ing form, and it becomes a direct object because it answers the question what? What should we consider? We should consider flying. Now let's proceed to the infinitive. So in the example, no one wishes to volunteer. So in this sentence, our subject is no one, and our transitive verb is wishes. Now, to volunteer is our infinitive because of its form, the to plus the base form, volunteer, so to volunteer. Now, it becomes a direct object because it answers the question what? No one wishes what? To volunteer. Okay, now let's proceed to the indirect object. Now for the indirect object, it's just for the gerund. Now the indirect object is, if we have the sentence pattern, it's this. It's subject, transitive verb, indirect object, and direct object. So let's have an example. Shelly bakes Maria a cake. So usually the indirect object class is answering the question to whom or for whom. So let's dissect this one. Shelly is our subject, and our transitive verb is you have the bakes. And again, you have the direct object because there is the receiver of the action, bakes. So Shelly bakes what? Shelly bakes the cake. Now, the question now is, Shelly bakes a cake for whom? It's for Maria. So therefore, our indirect object here is Maria because it answers the question for whom. Aside from to whom or for whom, the indirect object could answer for which. So meaning you are referring to an object or to an act. So let's proceed to our example in the LAS. He should give speaking more attention. So he here is a subject and should give is our transitive verb. It's a verb phrase. Now, he should give what? The more attention is answering the question what. So this is the direct object. He should give more attention for which? For speaking. So therefore, the speaking here is our indirect object because it answers the question for which.